My gosh, episode 8 of Mobile Suit Gundam GQuuuuuX. What an interesting episode. A lot to really chew on with this episode. And I feel like this is going to be a very long impressions video, so hopefully people enjoy this video. But yes, a lot to chew into with the whole situation with Nan becoming a Diablo, all the assassination attempts for the new G-Fred. We have a G-Fred Gundam. Hey, at least it's easier to say than GQuuuuuuX. G-Fred. I almost feel like that's intentional. They called this one GQuuuuuX just for everybody to go, what the hell is this name? And so they go over here and they go, okay, here you go. Here's Fred. Here's this new mobile suit. Its name is Fred. Anyways, all that stuff going on. And yes, getting some confirmation about what happened to Char in the past, which apparently he ran into his sister. That was interesting. Just a random appearance of his sister. Cool stuff. And then, yes, everything around Casilia. I think Kycilia is probably the most interesting thing that I found with this episode. I've always loved Shalia's character because I found him to be the most intriguing character of the story so far. But now Kycilia is going up there. Now, granted, most all villain characters, leadership role characters, they all have their own sense of righteousness that they're building towards. A good writer will make a character feel like, I understand why they're doing this. But I almost feel like Kycilia is almost being put in a position where she could be sort of the, what's the best way to put this? The good bad guy. The good head, the one that's going to essentially aid the protagonist in the future. Somebody that could actually be taken into the role of good. Not chaos or evil, but the role of good. She is still technically getting into a lot of stuff that could be used for horrible gains, like the whole solar ray project. That's obviously something they're building up right now. But I feel like she might actually be the one that actually ends up turning to good. And it really comes from that final statement. Yes, in the past segment, we see in Solomon where Char is going in there to take down Solomon, destroy it so that it doesn't drop on Granada. But as he's going in there, yes, we do find out that he already had plans to take out Solomon. Again, after Federation forces goes down, I want to take down the Zabi family because they're the head of the Zeon, and I see for my own goals, they need to be out of the picture. So basically, both sides are going to fall, and I will rise up. That is Char's goal. So yes, with this whole situation, he already had a plan to take down Solomon, and now he's going to use it to stop Granada. But as we find out, when he finally gets inside there, yes, he wants to foil the plan. He wants Granada to go down. He wants Zabi to die. But as he's doing so, the Psychoma goes off, and Solomon is stopped from falling on Granada. Now here's where my intrigue really starts to build up right here. Because yes, as we kind of feel like throughout the entire episode, and it's sort of confirmed in the preview, so if you don't like preview spoilers, I'm sorry, I seen it. It was literally at the tail end of the episode. They went through the cast scroll, and it was just right there. I couldn't not see it. So yeah, spoilers for that. In the preview for the next episode, at the end of the episode, they did sort of indicate that it looks like Lala is on Earth. And that does sort of, yes, push away one of my theories that Lala was inside of one of the Gundams, but in actuality, she may have been elsewhere. But I think it's sort of confirming at this point that she is the Rose of Sharon. During the whole incident with Solomon falling on Granada, they said that the Rose of Sharon has disappeared. And then they start hearing the Lala song, and then Char gets transported. Where I'm getting to with this is I feel like the Rose of Sharon disappeared because she wanted to activate the Psychomu that was in the red mobile suit that Char was piloting and thus get him out of there, cause this explosion, and save, possibly, Casilia. It could have just been that she was trying to save Char, and the after effects of the Psychomu, the Zeknova going off, saves Casilia. But I do kind of wonder with him wanting to stop this whole thing from happening, and it still going through, that there was a desire to save Casilia, that she was needed for the purpose of something in the future. And the other thing that kind of adds on to my theory that Casilia is going to be sort of the good guy in the end, or the protagonist leader, or the aid to the protagonist of the story, is that at the very end of the story, it seems like Casilia wants to find Char. And she wants to support anybody that is on Char's side. Yes, way back in the war, Casilia was using Char as a weapon. He's useful to me. I need his strength. I need him to defeat the Federation forces and to take down Garen and become the head lead of the entire Zeon. But at the end of the episode, Kycilia is saying that because Nan was seemingly guided by the Red Gundam, it's almost as if she wants to protect Nan for the sake of Char. As if Char selected Nan as one of his pupils, and thus I need to guide her because she's important to Char, and Char is important to me. I think that might have come from the whole situation with essentially not necessarily his actions, but she believes his actions saved her life, and thus she wants to support Char. And again, it could still come down to the end. Char's incredible. He did incredible things, and thus I need to support him and get on his good side for him to stay at my side. I mean, again, it can come down to the idea of using people, but it almost makes me believe that she could end up being somebody, which how they're kind of portraying Char as sort of the good guy, that she'd want to be on his side. and thus she is sort of on the good guy side of everything. But again, I do acknowledge that in definitely the best of the Gundam series, no side is good. It's war. War, there is never a good guy. In war, there's only just two factions, both wanting their own gain, and in the end, destruction in a sense is lost. But yeah, that's sort of where my brain is going right now with Kycilia. I really do feel like they could end up kind of putting her in a position that I think would be really intriguing and might actually make me really like her character. I don't know that I ever really cared for her much in the original Gundam series. But anyways, let's get through the episode proper so I don't miss anything. Yes, we opened up with the whole Solomon dropping on Granada. Again, Char goes in there, stops the whole situation, or at least he was going to before, again, everything messes up. And again, really interesting to see that his sister showed up. For those new to this series, yes, Artesia is Char's sister. At some point, she was fleeing with a family and then eventually ends up in the Federation forces, if I remember correctly. So that's her story there. I'm not sure if she'll pop up again, but it was cool seeing her kind of boop out of nowhere. But yes, he ends up getting trapped in there. And again, either because Lala is trying to save Kycilia or she's trying to save Char, she ends up using the Zeknova to pull him out of there. Now, very interesting because during the time the Zeknova is going off, he says the same thing that Shuji did. The idea that there's this other side there. This idea that through this Zeknova, through this new typing, they can see this other side. But additionally, that he can see time itself. It does make me kind of wonder if my theories around the idea of, Char and Lala being inside of these mobile suits, it kind of pushes against that. And again, based on the preview showing Lala, it does make me believe that this might not necessarily be a case of this other side being within the Gundam itself, but it could end up being sort of just on the other side of this dimensional portal that it's able to create. Here's this other location. And it could be very well Earth. I'm kind of wondering if it could be Earth or just a place that you want to be. It's able to open up the Zeknova, opens up a portal to some other location that you want to be at. Then we cut forward in time. We get to see Kycilia making some food for Nyan. Are you surprised that I can make my own food? But yes, she's trying to essentially get some sort of connection with Nyan. Mention the fact that she's had a hard life and apparently wants to study at a university. I can make all that happen, basically. You gotta create another Zeknova. And again, this is another thing that kind of attaches to my theory on Kycilia being sort of a benefit to Char, is I think she's trying to find Char. She's trying to actively get him back. And that technically makes sense. Again, Kycilia is, heading Shalia. Shalia is currently looking for the Red Comet. So it all kind of connects there, that Kycilia and Shalia are both looking for Char. And I think in the end, because, we've seen already that Shalia wants to take down Kycilia and Geren, I think he's just kind of playing into it until he can find Char, and the two of them can do what Char originally wanted to do. Char wanted to take down the Zabi family along with the Earth Federation. But it is interesting because, again, I do kind of have that conflict of, yes, she could just be wanting Char for strength, but she could also want to support him as well because he essentially saved her life. It would be very curious to turn it into Kycilia being in love with Char. I'm sorry, I have that headcanon in my head right now and it's so weird. But it was interesting here to have Kycilia sort of trying to get from Nyan what she believes made, the Zeons work so well. What do you think made our success? This idea of, taking advantage of the fact that everybody was against this hatred for the Space Noids. All this oppression for us, you tapped into that. You used that as sort of a vehicle to get people's support. Well, that doesn't make any sense because we're at peace now. You got to think more further ahead. We're doing more than just that. But yeah, that's when we get to the whole G-Fred situation where apparently Xavier is taking Nyan to this new G-Fred mobile suit. And yes, getting into the him and his friends that were brought in from poverty to become pilots, which they found was like, great. We got out of poverty. We can pilot these, suits. We got super lucky. As it kind of plays out, it does feel like this isn't really a situation. I mean, I would assume that, yes, the reason why they were selected is because they were potential new types. They were bringing them in there to pilot this stuff because these do have Psychomus in them. So they probably figured, okay, we're lucky because we got brought in for this sake. But yes, it does seem like there is a spy. As we find out later on, yes, it looks like Miguel, their bestest friend Miguel, is actually taking out each one of the pilots, and now Nyan is the next one to step up. The idea here is that Geren is currently trying to build up cyber new types, while Kycilia is just, has a monopoly on them. And while he prepares that stuff to be deployed, he needs to make sure that they don't get their next pilot. And so he has somebody assassinating them. And that's who Miguel was. But it's funny because Xavier's like, don't worry, Nyan, we'll protect you. Don't worry. By the way, have a good night. And he just drives. He was about to leave. Of course, it insinuates that, yes, at that point, she asked about the cake and implied to him that yeah, I think your Miguel guy's trying to kill me. But yeah, it's still kind of funny that he's just like, peace out, I'm out of here. Kind of tragic, kind of screwed up. But I guess it is going to probably get into exactly what Miguel learned. Because as we find out, Miguel was contacted by Gideon, or at least his intelligence groups, and they wanted him to sort of give them information. But it looks like Miguel himself sort of took it another step. And the idea that all of my friends were pure-hearted, good people. And I learned what Casilia wanted to do with the G-Fred. I learned what she wanted to do. I didn't want them to become essentially Diablos. I didn't want them to become, I'm assuming, these horrible killing machines. There's something that she's going to do with the G-Fred. And I wonder if it's going to be tied in with the Solar Ray project. I'm kind of wondering if the two of them are going to coincide with each other. Yeah, I knew the moment that she showed up there to eat that cake, I'm like, yeah, it's him. The dude's like contacts her in the middle of the night to come over to have some cake. No. This dude's gonna be the one. This dude's gonna be the one. But yeah, it was funny because when Nan is like running away from him and then climbs up onto the bridge, I'm like, why are you exposing yourself like that? But she goes up there onto the bridge, and I immediately was thinking, oh my gosh, we're gonna have the Evangelion arm come up and block her, isn't it? That would be have to move really, really fast. No, it just it just gets one of these little bits out, and the bitch just vaporized the dude. He just disappeared. Like this laser went off, and he just disappeared. It gives me a lot of feeling of Thunderbolt. I think it was Thunderbolt. In Thunderbolt, at some point, they had like a hostage situation or something like that. And literally this mobile suit outside of the ship goes over to where they're at, knowing where in which tunnel they're currently at, and then it sticks their lightsaber, like butts it up against the ship, and then turns on the lightsaber. And thus the saber just like creates this tunnel of vaporization and just wipes out the people inside of it. I gotta have a feeling of that. Like it's overkill. It's essentially overkill. Yeah, based on the fact that she was able to activate the Psychomu, vaporize the dude without the Psychomu suit on, it does obviously put the potential of her up there. And it seems like that is something that Kycilia picks up on and essentially gives her a nice place to stay at. I don't know if she got upgraded or if that was the place that she was originally supposed to stay, but either way, yeah. Xavier's like kind of jealous. Man, this is a kind of nice place. And that's where we get a brief scene of, yes, Kycilia taking out the spy, and then again mention the fact that she wants to support Nan. Again, knowing that Char, the Red Comet, is somehow tied to her. That if this Red Comet has guided her here, if she, was there for that Zek Nova, obviously this is something that I need to kind of nourish and guide. And then, yes, the last little bit there that apparently the GQuuuuuX has fleed. I was kind of curious. I thought that for sure Shalia had captured the GQuuuuuX and Machu, but didn't inform Kycilia, but it seems like he did. But yeah, apparently she just escaped. I'm like, no way. Shalia totally let her go. Shalia totally let her flee from there because again, he doesn't want Kycilia to have her. And so I think he told Machu to get out of there. But again, the preview for the next episode implies that Machu got a little bit of a notification, and I think she's gonna go see Lala. That's my current theory. I think she's going to go see Lala, the Rose of Sharon. So that'd be cool. I'm very curious to see her in the art style of Take. If Take ends up being the one that designs her character, that would be really cool. I'm pretty sure they'll probably keep it pretty true to the original artwork for her because, again, it seems like everybody that is kind of a carryover has some semblance of the old style to them. I almost forgot. They did have one little scene with a Terza and a Shirozu. I don't recognize those two, so I'm guessing they're new to the story. I don't recall them ever in any of the Gundams, so I'm guessing they're just a new group of people. It seems like they're working in the background for some reason. They're very happy about the funding that's going to the Solar Ray project. One of them is going to be working on the site of its building, and apparently their last goal is to find the Rose of Sharon, which makes me believe with these three aspects, with the building of all this stuff, it does make me believe that they possibly will be working for Kycilia. If Kycilia wants this thing, if Kycilia is currently getting the funding for it and everything, they might be working behind the scenes in order to, I guess, put in safeguards that only Kycilia could use it. That would be my assumption, is they're wanting to put something into effect that will lean it towards her. Program it for her use, add something else to it specifically that she can utilize. We'll see. Interesting episode. I'm very curious to what they'll end up doing with Nan. It seemed like with this episode, she seemed very much so like she didn't really have purpose. It got originally into the idea that she... Yes, they claim that she wanted to go to school and everything like that, but it doesn't seem like she cares about that. She's kind of just going with the flow. And again, I think that goes down to what her initial thought process, like before she met, Shuji and Machu, her initial thought process was just survival. I need to get money. I need to have money to survive. This is what I want. And now that she's lost those two things, she's right back to there. And I think with this whole situation, she's going to be she's going to play a pawn. Whatever, that's what you want me to do, that's what I'm going to do. I think that's where they're currently putting her mindset into. It doesn't seem like she really cares about anything. And again, my initial thought process is that, yeah, if she could discover, similar to Machu, that Shuji is still around, she might regain a desire to, you know, be friends again. But I think, again, they're really pushing Nyan and Machu towards this role of they're going to fight each other. Like, again, I hope that they write it in a good way, that it feels good, but it does feel like that's what they're going to push it towards. These two have to be rival characters. But we'll see. Anyhow, that's my thoughts on episode 8 of GQuuuuuuX. Hope you guys enjoyed this video as always. Hopefully it had some cohesiveness to it. I had a lot of theories and stuff kind of running through my head, so it was very hard to kind of keep it on track, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button down below. If you like this content and want to support channel more, I have links to the description below. Greatly appreciate it. Until next time, y'all take care.